Hello, everybody. Today we are going to discuss the unrest in Bangladesh, the change of regime in Bangladesh, and its impact on India. So let's start discussing the unrest in Bangladesh, the turmoil in Bangladesh, and we'll slightly discuss this in the limelight of India Bangladesh relations. When you talk about Bangladesh, the formation of Bangladesh took place in 1971. Before that, it was called as East Pakistan. And do remember that Bangladesh was formed on cultural difference. Now, cultural difference is always greater than religious difference. There were three prime reasons, main reasons for formation of Bangladesh. The first reason was that although as far as religion is concerned, both East Pakistan and West Pakistan had the same religion as Islam. But the culture of East Pakistan, cultural difference of East Pakistan, was different from West Pakistan. And second reason was that India was flanked by both sides, East Pakistan and West Pakistan. So geographical continuity between East and West Pakistan was lacking. So managing East Pakistan was difficult. Managing East Pakistan was difficult. That was the second reason. The third reason was that the controlling center of power, was in the West. There was a deep state also in Pakistan, the ISI, the army, and Pakistan was dominated by Punjab. So the people of East Pakistan thought that the culture of West Pakistan is being imposed on them. When we talk about partition of Bengal took place during the British regime in 1905. So it was not only a political partition, but this partition was also economic partition. An economic partition in the sense that West Bengal was here mainly present was the landowners, and they were Hindus. And East Bengal, here mainly the workers were present, the working class was present, and they were mainly Muslims. But the face of Islam in East Bengal was considered as a soft face, never a radical face during that period, not like now. So we can see the face of Islam was very soft during this period. And after the independence of India in 1947, unrest in East Pakistan started in 1952. You can see unrest started in 1952. And what happened in 1952? That there were 5 provinces in Pakistan. The majoritarian province of Pakistan was nothing but East Pakistan only. And in 1952, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Khwaja Nazimuddin, he said that Urdu would be the official language of Pakistan. Urdu would be the official language of Pakistan. So the people of East Pakistan saw that Urdu is being imposed on them. Urdu is being imposed on them. So that started. And in 1960s, if we talk about, do remember that the liberation war of Bangladesh was not only based on language, to protect the language of East Pakistan, but also was one reason for that was also economic discrimination of East Pakistan. So 2 reasons were there. One, the lingual reason, and second was the economic discrimination. Why? Because since it was the majority province of Pakistan, but and there were 300 seats in the Pakistan Legislative Assembly, out of which 162 were in East Pakistan and the remaining 138 in West Pakistan. But East Pakistan was never given the proper power share, the financial share. So there was a discontent among the people of East Pakistan. So it was not only for the protection of language of East Pakistan, but also for economic discrimination that this liberation war started. In the 1960s, we can see that the Awami League leader Mujibur Rahman was arrested. But in the 1970, when general election was conducted, the Awami League emerged as the biggest party in Pakistan, got a majority in Pakistan. And the verdict of 1970 election was nothing but an expression of the separation of East Pakistan from the remaining part of Pakistan, West Pakistan as such. Now, the reason why India intervened in this war were mainly three. First reason was three reasons why India intervened in this war. Now, India intervened in this war why? Because there were roughly about 10 million refugees from East Pakistan in India. Second reason was the strategic significance, because India was flanked by East and West Pakistan, which was not strategically in favor of India. India was sandwiched between East and West Pakistan. It was never strategically in favor of India. And third was that a formal request was made by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman for India to intervene. So there were three main reasons. But before that, we can see that the Awami League leader put forward a 6-point demand before the government of Pakistan to be met, which included universal suffrage, which included devolution of power also, which included more financial, trade, and economic policies made for East Pakistan, more spending on security. And East Pakistan objected to its status of being a province of Pakistan. It wanted to be in a loose federation with Pakistan, where we can see the foreign affairs, the defense, the currencies. They would be governed by the government of Pakistan, but the rest of the power should be given to East Pakistan as well. This was rejected by the presidency of Mr. Ayub Khan, and later on by Yahya Khan, and also by Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali, because they wanted a strong center. Plus, one reason was that the main center of power was the army. So the main center of power was the army. So these were the reasons. But the formation of Bangladesh took place in 1971. India intervened. India supported the Mukti Bahini, and India also allegedly said why the West abandoned its policy of non-alignment to enter into a friendship treaty with Russia for this purpose. But against all odds, liberation of Bangladesh took place. Why? Because Pakistan was favored by not only China, Pakistan was favored by US, and the support which was given by Russia was only conditional. Support which was given by Russia was only conditional, that you have to settle this issue before this date. India did so, and the formation of Bangladesh took place. But when Bangladesh was formed in 1971, it was a secular state. But it was a secular state, and it transformed into an Islamic state. And this was in 1990 under the leadership of General Irshad. So initially it was a secular state, but it transformed into a Islamic state in 1990. In 1975, we can see Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was killed, assassinated. And this was the work of, allegedly, it is alleged that CIA was involved, ISI was involved in this. And there were many military coups. General Ziaur Rahman also became the president of Bangladesh, and he's the husband of Khalida Zia, the leader of party BNP, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. And Bangladesh Nationalist Party had connections with Jamaat Islami. Recently, when the unrest took place in Bangladesh, and on August 5, Sheikh Hasina was ousted, removed from power. She took refuge in India. Now, the slogans raised by the protesters were Ami ke, Tomi ke, Rajakar, Rajakar. Or Jai Chilam Adhikar, Hoi Gelo Rajakar. So, who is the Rajakar as such? Now, Rajakar were those who supported the Pakistan army in 1971 war. So it's termed as just like an abuse in Bangladesh. So these slogans were raised. Now coming to the recent unrest in Bangladesh, started when 30% reservation were given to the families of freedom fighters. It was a high court judgment, and it was later on considered by the Supreme Court. But the unrest started against this only. 30% reservation were given to the families of the freedom fighters. And this turmoil took place in Bangladesh. A number of people were killed. Sheikh Hasina was removed from power. And we can see the interim government of Mr. Yunus was established, the Nobel laureate Mr. Yunus was established. And as far as this unrest in Bangladesh is concerned, this unrest in Bangladesh has many perspectives that you have to know. Now, the first perspective is what? The first perspective is related to US. Now, it is said that US is responsible behind this turmoil. And why? Because US wanted to establish a base in Bangladesh, naval base in Bangladesh. And this naval base in Bangladesh should be established at St. Martin's Island. So there was a demand made by US, and this was said by Awami League leader Sheikh Hasina also, that a big power wants this island to be made as a naval base, because it was also said that US wanted to control China from here. But if you look at this island, it's questionable. This perspective is questionable. Why? That the motorable area in this island is very less. The island is of a very small size to be established as a naval base. Further, also we can see that St. Martin Island is also claimed by Myanmar. But US was responsible for imposing sanctions on the Awami League workers, and the visa to Sheikh Hasina was denied by US also. US is said to be closer to BNP, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, and US used Mail's toolkit. It is alleged that in this turmoil, in this unrest, the protest of Bangladesh. So that's one reason. The second perspective is the China factor. China factor. Now the Chinese factor is related to, do remember one thing, that the Chinese inroads in South Asia matches with the look east policy of Bangladesh. And why look east policy of Bangladesh? Because the look east policy of Bangladesh is for reducing its dependency on India and to search for new partners like China and also countries of Southeast Asia. So this is one thing. Now, China wanted to establish a reservoir and dredging work to be conducted for the Teesta River. So China wanted to establish the Teesta River Development Corridor area. This proposal was made by China in 2020 and was considered by Bangladesh. But Bangladesh also said that Bangladesh would examine the geopolitics of this project. Why? Because the Teesta River is very close to the Siliguri corridor. So if dredging is conducted by China, suppose in Bangladesh, here, it's very close to Siliguri corridor. India wanted Bangladesh to reconsider this decision. And India said that we would be conducting the survey for this. When you talk about Teesta River dispute is hanging between India and Bangladesh to be resolved. And why we are saying so? Because Teesta is a river which originates in Sikkim. And this is the flow. It goes and meets Brahmaputra River in Bangladesh. There are 54 rivers between India and Bangladesh. If you talk about the northern and northwestern part of Bangladesh, the north and northwestern part of Bangladesh is the Teesta floodplain area. Now this contributes roughly about 14% of the cropped area in Bangladesh. It's one of the lifeline of Bangladesh, Teesta River. And there was an arrangement made. We had a joint river commission established in the year 1976. And there was an arrangement made, an agreement entered into by both the parties, where India would be having 39% of the water share and Bangladesh would be having 36% of the water share. Why? And the remaining 25% was to be decided later on. And why? Because Teesta River, the water of Teesta River is used for groundwater charging. And that is done in Ganjal Doba in Jailparguri and also a place which is called as Dalia in Bangladesh. But during the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's regime, India was very close to signing an agreement for the Teesta River with Bangladesh. But then the consent for this agreement was to come from the government of West Bengal also. But never that consent came. Why? Because water is a subject of the state list. And this dispute keeps hanging between India and Bangladesh. India and Bangladesh have resolved many disputes. So certainly this dispute should be resolved by India and Bangladesh. So second factor is the Chinese factor. When you talk about the unrest, first factor, the US factor related to St. Martin Island. Second factor is the Chinese factor, which is related to the Teesta River. And I told you, China has investment in Bangladesh. China is developing deep sea port in Bangladesh. So China has investment in Bangladesh. The third factor is the ISI, Pakistan. Because the ISI wants to prove that liberation of Bangladesh and the establishment of Bangladesh in 1971 was nothing but a wrong decision. So it supports the Jamaat also, which has connection with ISI. So that's the third perspective. Fourth perspective is what? Fourth perspective is the policies which were followed by the Awami League leader. Because the Awami League leader, Sheikh Hasina, wanted to balance relationship of Bangladesh with India also, with China also, with US also, with Russia also. Remember that the ambassador of Russia in Bangladesh is on the record talking about warning US not to interfere in the matters of Bangladesh. So this was it. So she wanted to establish a balance and also the faulty policies because she wanted one party domination. And one party domination means there should not be any kind of opposition, which is not healthy for a democracy. So these were the four perspectives related to the unrest in Bangladesh. But then when you talk about the challenges that India faces because of this unrest, the challenges happens to be many. One such challenge is what? One such challenge is the migration which can take place from Bangladesh. And this can disturb the stability of not only West Bengal but also the stability of the Northeast. Second, we know that the extremist elements are there, the separatist elements are there in the Northeast. They can take refuge in Bangladesh. So that's the second factor. The third factor is what? That we have among our neighbors, the biggest land boundary that India has is with Bangladesh. So influx of migrant from Bangladesh would be certainly a difficult situation for India. Difficult situation for India. So this is another factor that you have to consider. And also remember that the challenge that India faces is that Pakistan or China can utilize this situation. Certainly. One challenge that India faces today, that India has to prove to its neighbors also that India can be a good friend. And not only a good friend, but also a big regional power. But there are certain questions which need to be addressed by the statecraft of India. First is that we should not be romanticizing the 1971 Liberation War. Why? Because the people of Bangladesh are divided very deep on the interpretation of history. On the interpretation of history. Second thing is what? That the politics in our neighborhood should not be governed by India. Let them govern their policies. It should not be governed by India. So all these things are in limelight of the Bangladesh unrest and its implication on India. Let's see a question. I have framed a question for you. India's economic development, peace and security is also linked to internal transition in its neighborhood. Explain. Now you can explain that, you can practice this answering this question, and it can be explained not only in the context of Bangladesh but also in the context of Maldives. So try to write this answer, try practicing writing this answer. Thank you so much.